This episode of Captured Pittsburgh Darkroom has been made possible by generous contributions from Friendship, Perk, and Brew, Small Universe, and Captured Identity. Today we're featuring the song Memory of You by Mary Lou Schurter.
Yeah, we're going to do a thing. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to... I can hear Adam. Can you hear Adam? Hey, Adam! Adam! Kick them out. We're good to go.
I called him out, needing his help but just to talk. He could fix about anything.
Hi guys, welcome back to Captured Pittsburgh. Today we are at Friendship, Perk, and Brew with Adam Tripp. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh, thanks, Jason.
So why don't you take a moment and tell our audience who you are?
Oh, so I'm Adam Tripp. I'm a psychiatrist, but also to kind of balance that out, I like to do photography and herd my 4 children everywhere we go.
Herd your 4 children?
Yes, yep.
So you're from Pittsburgh, correct?
No, actually, I'm originally from northern New York, so one of the few places with perhaps worse weather than Pittsburgh. So for us, Pittsburgh weather is practically balmy. But yeah, my wife and I moved here back in 2007 to start our residency training, and I fell in love with the city. We didn't have any family here, and just kind of came to grow and love the place.
So for your residency, you used one of the universities here?
Right, yeah, both of us. The University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, UPMC, me in psychiatry, and my wife in family medicine.
Awesome. And you live here?
Yeah, we do. We originally lived up on the north side in Spring Hill, and then moved here into the city so we can avoid bridges and tunnels. So that's been helpful for both of us.
Yeah, and actually this is a pretty convenient location to meet today.
Yes,
it's close to home. Have you ever been here before?
Yeah, one time. Great bar menu. Really enjoyed it. So.
Yeah, all their food we found out is just made from scratch. So, which is something it's hard to find, from a quick coffee shop type thing.
Right.
So what got you into photography?
Well, so kind of coming back to my kids, back when I was in grad school, I started out in ceramics, and then kind of as time went by in medical school, after our first child, that was out the window, and I had picked up oils.
You mean ceramics and children don't mix?
Yeah, that's right. Children and a lot of artistic things perhaps don't mix. So went from ceramics to oil painting, and then from oil painting to acrylics to mixed media and spray paint, and then finally to photography. The less things that people can get into and don't have to wait to dry in photography. So that was kind of the progression of things, and now I can just kind of pick it up and put it down, at leisure, and nobody has to get into chemicals or anything like that, as in the old days with film.
So we'll concentrate on recently. So
Sure.
When you picked up that digital camera, is there a picture you remember when you took that picture and you're like, hey, this isn't that bad, I can do this, this is kind of fun?
Yeah, actually, it was, I think it was in 2012, and it was a very just simple composition of my wife. I can still remember it was a Canon T2i, it was a 1.4 50 millimeter lens, and just wanting to get a nice bokeh. And she was knitting and kind of looking away, I think, at our first daughter, and that blown out background, and her kind of in focus, and that was kind of the start. That was the first one where I was like, yeah, that worked the way I wanted it to, and kind of went from there.
So your preference in photos, is it more like your family taking photos, or
it is
nature? Cityscapes?
Yeah. I mean, just kind of around Pittsburgh. Mostly my kids, but also just, for lack of a better term, street photography. Although that probably isn't terribly apropos. But just, I would say, ordinary things. capture my attention more so than landscapes. I don't want to hoof up to some mountain. My daughter had a astronomy assignment, and I was up at Wagman's Observatory, basically this big hill out by just past New Ken, and it was cold and it was beautiful. I was trying to get the Milky Way, and that didn't happen. I got a decent photo of Orion the Hunter, but for that amount of trouble, I'm like, nah, I'll just walk around the neighborhood taking pictures of trees and people that have, an interesting look or expression, rather than, schlepping around in the wilderness. So.
And what would be your favorite picture that you've taken of all time?
I think for right now, because that's kind of always evolving, it was one where it was a really foggy day, and I was out on a run, and I had a woman just kind of walking past a series of trees, actually not too far from here, over at West Penn Hospital. And she was just stepping off of the bus, kind of walking over to West Penn from work, and just caught her kind of in mid-step, and in black and white. And so the background is nice and foggy, and she's in focus, and just her walking. And so for right now, that's my favorite, of my photographs that I like. But that's always a work in progress.
That's what everybody says. It's and I'm like, okay, let's just go with what's now today, because it's always like the next picture you take is your favorite because you just took it. So I do have a question now.
Sure.
Explain to me how you run with a camera, like for your runs. Do you have like a bag that you put it in, or
no? Usually just in hand. So,
what do you shoot with now?
Well, for nice photos, I have a Sony A7R2, but most of the pictures that I actually take are with a RX100 Mark IV, just a little compact camera that I can just have on a wrist wrap, and just as I'm running around for exercise, and then kind of in betweens and just walking, being able to pull that out, take a shot, and then develop it later on. And so that, even though some of my most composed are nice shots, it's always kind of the ones on the run that are more organic that wind up being the ones that people like the most.
Right, so, and the ones you share. Right? Yeah. That's what, I always think that's the more, like, you catch people in their natural habitat, when they're not guarded, and it has more meaning and emotion to it than stand here, look like this, and pose for us. So you take a lot of pictures when you're out running?
Yeah, I do. Because that's, the time I probably have most where it's quiet, where I have to think. Between work and my kids, there's not a whole lot of kind of quiet time to kind of look and really see. I think of one that I took that I really liked, where there was a woman who must have been a worker out on a smoke break, just backing up against a bench, and a gentleman who was Amish and just sitting there, who must have come in from some distance, a family member, and just kind of the juxtaposition of the two of them, one just on a break, the other one kind of wondering, what's going to happen with their loved one. But just both of them just kind of living and just on the bench was something I really liked. Yeah. So just kind of seeing what people are doing, whether it's kind of walking their dog, or going for a run themselves, just kind of, again, focusing on ordinary things. I was just thinking of, I was listening to a podcast on being, of David White's poem, Everything is Waiting for You, and really kind of focusing on just sort of the day-to-day things as they come up, and rather than necessarily having to go out and seek some great experience or what have you, of really trying to focus on what's maybe right in front of you. It just takes a little bit more to kind of look and see.
To notice those little details. And it's just amazing how a photograph can, as much as you're telling the story, but you don't even know, like the Amish guy and the lady on her, you don't have no idea why they're even there.
Sure.
And you could be completely off base. And it's like she's not on a smoke break. She's just stopped because she was walking down the street, and the Amish guy is like lives right down the street from there, and he's not from afar. You know, but like you have that story there, it makes you wonder, like what is the story behind here? And it's like amazing how photography does that for you. So you use photography as kind of a break from like your day-to-day life, and we're going to talk about how important that is here in a little bit. But at the moment, we're going to take a little break, and as soon as we come back, we will get into your gallery experience and about mental health and what that means to you and why it's important. So we'll see you in a couple minutes.
This episode of Captured Pittsburgh Darkroom was filmed at Friendship Perk and Brew. They're your source for fresh coffee, Pittsburgh beer, and food made from scratch from locally sourced ingredients. You can find them at 300 South Pacific Avenue in Pittsburgh. The next round of photographs will go up at the Captured Pittsburgh Shadyside Open Air Gallery on Saturday, May 5th. You can meet and greet the artists at 11 a.m., and we will get to see their photos at 11:30. Come see us at our gallery at 5507 Walnut Street in Shadyside.
Welcome back to Captured Pittsburgh Darkroom here at Friendship Perk and Brew. I'm here with Adam Tripp, and we're going to talk about your gallery experience. So, first your photo that was selected.
Sure.
You want to tell us a little bit about that photo?
Oh, sure. So we were talking before kind of about a lot of photos that I take are kind of out and about. And this happened to be one of them where I was just actually getting back from a run. And my kids were all staring outside of our front window, just looking out onto the porch. And they were all just looking. And I just thought it was a nice composition with some reflections from kind of the front yard. And so I just took it, and there we go. And that's how it was. It wasn't something greatly composed or something where I was like, that's the shot, I got it. But yeah, it really resonated.
So did you know about Capture Pittsburgh and what we did prior to being selected? Or did that come as
a little
kind of
bit?
A
I mean,
surprise?
I think I had actually followed you guys before being selected, so I was aware of it, but I didn't know, how much it was known perhaps in the community, or certainly didn't think of myself as anything where I'm like, yeah, my photos are good enough for an exhibition.
So it was a surprise to be
Yeah, it
selected.
was. Yeah.
So the cool thing about what we do, so you understand, is I do selections, Adam does two selections, and Jason Kodat normally does two selections. And we completely will not talk to each other during the selection process. And the reason we do that is because we want our own taste. Like, I don't want the photos that are selected to be influenced by somebody else's opinion. So that's why you get that wide variety. And it's nice because, like, you never know whose picture is going to be selected because we all have different tastes. And just because, Jason Kodat picks a picture and I might be like, I don't know about that picture. But it tells me that if Jason Kodat picked it, there's 1,000 people out there that'll be like, that's a pretty cool picture. And just because I am one of the people that are like, wouldn't be one that I would choose, that's the taste amongst how diverse it is in the artistic field out there. So you got to, your picture was on display on Walnut Street in Shadyside, and you got to come out. How was that? Like, pretty cool?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, no, it was both a great honor, and I was very grateful to be selected, but also to see just the diversity of other people's work. There was a wasp as well, that a great macro shot that was fantastic, that jumped out at me. But just seeing other people's work, and the fact that I think quite a few of us were also first-time selectants for anything as far as an exhibition goes, just to see just how many people were interested and were growing in terms of their eye and their craft. So it was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we love that over the 2 years that we've been doing this at Capture Pittsburgh, with the gallery space, we try to keep it not so much the professional photographers. We like to pick the people that are just the Joe Smo average person out there, that likes taking photos and does it as an escape from like the day-to-day life. And that brings me to my next conversation. So our next month's gallery, it's all about mental health and taking a break, and working with you specifically to help bring that. So do you want to take a moment and just explain why mental health and what that means to you as a professional in the field, and why you think it's important to support and taking a break from your everyday life to make sure you take care of yourself?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so as a psychiatrist, I see a lot of people every week. And one of the things that can really be helpful for people is some sort of meaningful life activity, and that includes art as well. And creating something that both expresses maybe what somebody's going through, but in a beautiful way. As somebody was asking, there was a friend of mine whose daughter was asking her, you know, is the opposite of depression anger or fear? And really my take on it was, you know, that both of those are just colors. You know, both of those can be beautiful or ugly, but it's really apathy and kind of desaturation, or the lack of color is depression. And that by creating something, even if it comes out of a place of struggle, can be helpful and allow one to use their struggle to create something beautiful, create something meaningful for them, and hopefully for other people. And so that by selecting people for this month's exhibition, we're trying to kind of take a break or an escape from their day-to-day, whether it's vacation or just something else that gives them meaning, to really exhibit that and show that, and that's really as important as exercise or medication or therapy, you know. So it's just another tool to kind of help people in their struggle and feel more themselves.
I guess I never really thought about it. The where you say, like, even if it's from your art comes from a negative standpoint, but then when you actually really sit down and think about it, even with like music, like some of the greatest songs out there are written while
everybody loves sad songs.
The musician was like in this dark period, like they just broke up with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and they write this amazing ballad, or you know, and to go out there. And I mean, I can remember when I have had struggles, and to just pick up that camera and just go, and it's like you're not thinking about what that problem is. You're just out there to, you know, just let go.
It takes you to a different place. You know, get outside of yourself a little bit. Yeah.
So that gallery will be unveiled on May 5th at 11:30. So if you have not been out to one of our gallery openings yet, you're invited. The artist meet and greet starts at about 11 o'clock. That's when all our selected artists will show up, and we have a little get together with them. And then at 11:30, they will be unveiling their actual prints. And then they get to sign the prints, which I think is the coolest part of the gallery.
It is.
I say that every episode too. It's like when I hand the photographer that pen, like most of them are like, "What? Like I get to sign this?" And it's like, "Yeah, it's your masterpiece. Like sign that." So it's just a great experience. So if you've never been out to one of the gallery openings, it's something to actually check out, even if you aren't one of our selected artists.
Sure.
How do people follow you? And
sure.
Hold you?
Yeah, so I'm at TRIPPAC on Instagram, and you know, just kind of my first and middle initial, Tripp AC, and you can see a lot of pictures of my kids, kind of trees and just life out and about in Pittsburgh. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
And in your professional practice, what's that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I'm actually close by, just over on Penn Avenue, next to Children's Hospital. We're at betterstories.us, so BETTERSTORIES.us.
Did you come up with that name?
Yeah. It's I was really trying to think of what we were trying to do in terms of my practice, and that ultimately, you know, it's not about whether people are in therapy or taking medication, but helping people kind of rewrite in their own head, you know, a better story. So the facts don't change, but to allow themselves to tell a better story, and that was kind of the ultimate goal. And so
thank you for coming out today.
Oh, thanks, Jason.
It's really nice meeting you through this whole entire process, and that will be our show for today, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you give us a like, and a comment would be greatly appreciated. Follow our page, and we will see you again here in a couple days, I guess. So,
very good.
Captured Pittsburgh Darkroom is produced by Jason Fait, Adam Thomas, and Jason Kodat. Captured Pittsburgh Darkroom is a Captured Cities production, copyright 2018.